All right. Oh, and we're live. Look at that. Here we are, Agency Accelerator episode number 8, live from the romantic streets of Paris, where we've got a soft focus filter on Tom so we can all tell that we love him.
Thanks for having me today, Trevor. There is a lot to talk about at the NoCode Summit, and just, I think, a lot of strategy to think about if you're an agency going to a conference, right? That's something I really wanted to spend some time today talking about is why or what do you want to get out of a conference if you are an agency, and how do you kind of strategize about what you might want to do while you're at the conference? And if there's one piece of advice that I can drill home for everybody watching here on all the channels, it's quality is better than quantity. Do not try to meet every person at a conference. It is not going to work. You're going to have shallow conversations. You're not going to be able to really connect meaningfully with any of the attendees. And for me, during the last 2 days, it's been wild with 2,000 no-code supporters in the community here in Paris, all reaching out, connecting, learning about new tools, so many different things. It's probably about 15 of them that I really meaningfully connected with today, seeing some of my friends that I've known on the internet for the last 2 years, meeting in person for the first time. Some people are taller or shorter than you might imagine, which is obviously the part of the conversation. But definitely try to focus on those meaningful connections at conferences instead of trying to meet everybody, because that's just a loser's game.
Yeah, you are way better having a dozen or 2 dozen meaningful conversations than having 300. So, how's the event? Cool. Here's my business card. Bye.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth, like, one of the things I like to do when I'm going to an event, and I haven't done it in a while because I've got young kids, which means I don't get to do fun things. And I would usually do some aggressive outreach before the event to find people who I think are going to the event, who are in the space, ask. Even if they're not going to the event, they're more likely to accept a connection request or a cold email from you if you're like, hey, we're in this space, right? Are you going to this event? They might be like, I've never even heard of it. No, but tell me about the event. So
Yeah.
it could be people who go to an event, like, you want to meet people. That's why you go to an event. So it's really, really way higher chance of a hit when you contact somebody who's going to an event than just standard general kind of nonsense cold outreach. So if you are,
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm just agreeing. It's so much better to find those handful of companies or the handful of attendees that you want to talk to, or you scope out the events, the sessions beforehand, and you're like, I'm definitely going to that one. One of them that I just came from was from NoCode Life, which is like he's an independent freelancer. He's been sort of documenting his journey in NoCode. Same with Max from 100 Days of NoCode. They were both here. There's a lot of people in the NoCode space that actually had panels here, and were sharing their story, and made it a point to take a selfie, say hello, and actually be able to have a conversation with them for the first time in a long time, instead of just a Zoom call. So definitely makes a huge difference in person. And I'm wondering when there's going to be a digital operations no code type summit here in the US. If you are interested in something like that, definitely make a comment or DM me below, because we're starting to organize that, and there's a lot of energy coming out of the last 2 days that this needs to happen stateside too.
Tom, you're going to make an event happen.
I'm definitely going to try to be a part of one, at the very least. There is some already in the works in Atlanta by NoCode Ops. It's a wonderful community, 10,000 plus operators inside of that community. There's just interest from apps like Smart Suite or Airtable, or Microsoft was here. Just a lot of different companies that you might not have even heard of. The Alegria group actually put everything together. Alegria is an incredible training organization out of Europe, that actually France specifically. But they have 60 people and a 15-month training program for no code. I mean, when I talk about France being a little bit more ahead in terms of the no code digital operations movement, France is really leading in a lot of ways, and being able to support an organization like Alegria, who, by the way, is getting France funds to help accelerate,
Of course.
right, government funds to accelerate their implementation and migration of people from external agents, external industries into no code. I mean, I met somebody who used to be a museum curator, used to be a designer, used to be like, there's so many different cross-functional skill sets that end up coming to no code, from biochemical engineering to like museum curation. Like it's really amazing, everybody that's showing face here.
Awesome. So, all right, let me ask you, right? You're going to this event, you're going to nocode-summit.org, you're going to the actual no code event. As an agency, as a business owner, you're not like, I've gone with big companies where you've got individual contributors who are like, I'm just going to get drunk for 4 days, right? That's my goal. As an
Yeah, yeah.
agency owner, you're going to have better goals than that, I hope. What were your goals going into this to say, hey, this is what I want to do so that I know that the no code summit will be a success for me?
So the thing that I really drove home on the last 2 days was just sharing X-ray tools. A lot of these people are builders. A lot of these people are either software service providers or automation agencies themselves. And I just wanted to say, hey, there's this free tool that we built called X-ray.tools. Gave a quick demo on the phone and saw that nice spike in terms of network traffic, which really means it's successful for me. I really wanted to make sure that a handful of agencies and freelancers that I was going to be exposed to had a good experience, their first experience with our automation search engine. So that was goal number one. Goal number two, just like refining the pitch of different frames of how to share our service to different audiences. And to the SaaS tools that were here, we were framing our pitch as we're an integration partner for you. To the independent freelancers here, we were, hey, we have tooling for you, X-ray tools, stuff like that. So I love the events like this just from a volume standpoint, being able to refine a pitch. And like, I always sort of change the wording a little bit to see how it lands. And I feel like that makes it better in the long run. But by and large, it was a massive success for us being exposed to, our broader audience. And hopefully able to rally the community around a U.S. event in 2024. I think that would be a massive undertaking and a massive win for really the whole no-code community.
Yeah, wow. That does sound super exciting. I'm not much of a no-code builder myself, but I definitely acknowledge there's a need for that. So, okay, so you said, so did you have was a goal, did you have any metrics for your goals, or were they just like, I want to talk to people about my tooling?
Yeah, I didn't set a hard number, right? Because I'm not trying to go for quantity. I wanted quality. So the roughly 50 people that I showed the app to, X-ray.tools to, I saw that translate to 50 to 150 new users spiked in the last 2 days on Google Analytics.
And people
So
are
to me,
sharing the
that
word
was
around it, basically. So,
right. Good
gosh.
enough, right? And let's see how retention is on that. But additionally, like the Alegria group, for example, they're an educator. That is what they do. And I said, hey, there's this tool here. Maybe it can be a part of your curriculum, and maybe you can, give this to your community. And I think there's real potential of that being included in, their resources.
Awesome.
And maybe they don't have a resources board like we do over here.
Hey, there you go. bit.ly/no-code building. We haven't updated for today's yet because we're shooting from the hip. But
Yeah.
I'll drop some notes after the call, and we'll try and get them put on the board for this call. I think there's some stuff worth thinking about. So, all right, I think, in my opinion, it is always useful to have a metric you're tracking for success. In this case, you wanted views of X-ray tools. I love that. Even if you didn't set a goal, just setting a metric, because your first time to a new show, it's really hard to know what the vibe is going to be. Will it be you? So it can be really hard to set a goal. But now this year you've done this, so you can say next year, I want to have these quality conversations, and also maybe set up 2 or 3 content partnership where folks are going to talk about X-ray tools or whatever. You can begin to say, I know I want to improve. So that's super cool.
Exactly.
I'm wondering, you've got your 3,200-ish subscribers on YouTube right now, right? Did you record any video? 3,500. Did you record any video for the channel? You're at the No Code Summit.
this is it.
This is the
This is
channel.
the only piece of content that we've recorded, at least at the summit. You can see here. Hopefully, this blur will go away in a second. But the massive amount of
That's
material here,
huge.
like they're all taking it down. Yeah, it's a massive space that they rented out for the next 2 years. And there were 2,000 attendees. I think 150 different vendors here.
Wow.
Yeah, it was an incredible collection of talent and just community members. And this space itself is a startup space. So like Google for Startups is here,
I saw that.
and
Yeah.
a bunch of other big ecosystem like players. So it's the right space for this type of event. This event was very well attended, and I'm excited to see what happens next year. And in a lot of ways, right? I'm hopeful we can be back in Paris next year, right back to the same place, and be able to throw something very similar in the U.S. I think if we have something that's even a little bit smaller, just because people have to travel and it's going to be hard to get this density that's here
Yeah.
in Paris, especially. Um, you know, I think it's a win. I think we got to get one on the board and start curating this community as an industry, as a digital operations and no code or low code industry. It's time for something like this in the States.
I get you. That's exciting. I do hope that develops. I hope you'll keep us up with developments as you work on it. I would also like. I think
Absolutely.
for agencies who are listening, whether you're a no-code agency or just an agency in general, I think a couple of takeaways of what Tom has done here that might be relevant for you. One is do have a metric you're looking for success for any event. Even if you don't have a hard number for a goal, just know what you want to see improved. I think the other thing that Tom mentioned, which we didn't dive in on again, is one of my favorite uses for a trade show is to learn how to refine a pitch because
Hmm.
you get the
The
highest quality
courses.
feedback and instantly, right? People's eyebrows and their face will tell you, oh, this is boring. Okay, this is a bad pitch. My eyebrows are up. Uh, Now you've confused them, right? Like this all tells you in real time, and you can really refine that. And it's a lot of startups work like accelerators work relentlessly on practicing your sales deck or your investment deck because it is kind
Yeah.
of it's the whole thesis of your business, right? It condensed into maybe 20 seconds. And likewise, at a trade show, if I go like my pitch is pretty well refined now, I say I'm the world's only agency that builds $1 million marketing engine with a guarantee. And if you want $1 million marketing engine, you'll
Pretty
go,
good.
okay, well, one, I don't believe you. Like the first question I tend to always get is like, what if it's a crap product? And I'm like, well, then you don't get the guarantee. But the the idea here is that is enough to make somebody interested, right? Okay, that sounds
Hmm.
impossible. Tell me more. You get that right pitch for you. You practice at a trade show. That's how you'll know what a good one is. And so have a metric. Use that chance to practice your pitch. Do focus for. I tend to look for. I've got during the actual trade show. I know there's events I'm like people I want to talk to. Those are quality. Those are 20-minute, 30-minute conversations. Then at the networking events afterwards, I tend to just spray and pray and see what happens. Um, I
Okay.
also make a personal goal at every trade show to get into at least one private party without permission because that's just the social engineering of getting past a bouncer is always fun to me. I'm not saying that you listening to this need to do it, but I've very rarely get tossed out these days trying to break into a private party because I know the right ways to get in. And then
Yeah.
frequently the people who you really want to talk to are there anyway. So uh,
So the other side of that, Trevor, what we're doing tonight is actually having that private party. We've
there
got
you
we've
go.
got dinner scheduled with a bunch of the speakers, a bunch of the vendors, and we're going to this restaurant called Under the Sea, where the whole thing is sort of built into an aquarium. So that's going to be a lot
Nice.
of fun.
Do 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 do
And
do 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 do.
exactly right. And a lot of the speakers and the attendees, and at least tonight at dinner, everyone brought their families, which I was
Wow,
really happy to see.
that's
Like,
so
oh,
different.
more so different. It's so different. And I really think it comes back to the French culture, the inclusiveness, the community that this whole event has instilled. So yeah, I'm excited to meet, and talk with all a whole bunch of vendors and sponsors. and their families, and just like hang out right
That's
at a
super cool.
restaurant right along. So that's
I
going to be a
have
lot of
never
fun.
been to a private party where the family was. Like, I mean, maybe I'm going to the wrong trade shows, but even like when I lived in Europe and I was going to European trade shows, they were all video game trade shows, so everybody was under the age of 30 and probably
Slightly
didn't have
different
kids
audience,
anyway.
yeah,
Yeah, a little bit different crowd. But I've never done that, so that's super interesting. I wouldn't really know. I spend all my time distracted by the kids because I like kids. I wouldn't do any work,
yeah,
but when you're at the social mixer events is why I tend to say,
yeah.
look, I may have 2 or 3 people who I know I want to meet, and I found them on
Hmm.
LinkedIn. I've looked at their profile photos, and I'm going to look for their faces in the crowd. But in general, it's
Hmm.
just let serendipity happen. And so I think I also recommend before you ever sponsor an event and have a booth there, always go a year before and see what the vibe is.
That's what happened
That's
today.
what
Yeah,
happened
that's
today.
what happened this year,
Awesome,
right? We didn't
awesome.
sponsor, we didn't do anything, crazy, because it was like, flying to Paris for 2 week for a week, like it's a whole thing, right? So we wanted to get a feel out, but I think one phrase that you just said that I want to highlight: let the serendipity happen. Like,
Yeah,
that is so difficult to do for most people, and it's I think a refined skill you sort of grow into, and that's exactly what happened tonight. It was a handful of the speakers, a handful of the sponsors. We're sort of poking fun at some of the nomenclature that everyone was using, and we're like, what about this digital operations as an umbrella? Like, maybe we should go get dinner and talk about this, and talk about,
cool.
a US summit. What does that mean? And yeah, we're very serendipitous, right? We just had the conversations, asked the questions in the session. Don't be shy about actually asking your questions to the speaker. In front of the whole audience, right? You have that audience that you can ask something that gets to be thought provoking, and hopefully connect some dots for the attendees. So that's what ended up happening, and lo and behold, in 20 minutes I got to go to dinner. So
Indeed, in 20 minutes you got to go to dinner. So I think, Tom, live from
Trevor.
Paris, thank you for hopping in. Anybody listening, right? Follow Tom for more man, those balloons. Follow Tom for more adventures in the digital operations space, and of course on youtube.com/X-ray automation. Is
That's
that
right.
right?
X-ray automation
Right.
on YouTube and
There
LinkedIn,
you go.
and really, YouTube and LinkedIn are the best places. So
Those are the
join us
places.
on YouTube and LinkedIn. You'll get all of our updates. And I'm just trying to build this thing and helping agencies accelerate with automation. It's a pretty wild ride.
Awesome. Tom, thanks for showing up. Go enjoy your dinner.
Thank you, Trevor. It's always a pleasure.
See you in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody.
See ya. Bye bye.
Bye.